Hare Hacha Kim Jong-un. By the way, Luigi, it
Uh-huh.
hasn't escaped my notice that they saying Kim Jong-un instead of Kim Jong-un, which I think is deeply disrespectful to all Koreans. They can't even get the fucker's name right. I mean, I haven't heard a single
No.
Western leader call him his name right. I mean,
Jong.
listen to the fact, Jong, it's Kim Jong-un. Never knew that. Didn't realize it last time, but it's been banned, people. The viral sensation that praises dear leader, we call him the leader of the unfree world, definitely deserves a title,
The leader
has
of the
been
enslaved world.
the leader of the slightly less free world. His song has been banned by South Korea due to psychological warfare. Like, I think what they mean, Luigi, is that it's a banging tune, right?
It's an amazing tune. I mean, as far as the North Korean propaganda machine goes,
They
they got
got
this
the,
one
yeah,
right.
respect. We have to
I mean,
respect that.
he,
Yeah.
he's the leader of a world where you are completely free to starve to death.
And praise Kim Jong-un.
All right. So with
I
that,
mean,
welcome
do we
everybody. Welcome
yeah.
to another
Well,
amazing episode of Radio Rocketman. We're gonna be covering another dark week in the globe, but we're gonna do it with a happy tone, aren't we,
we're
George?
gonna do it with a smile on our face, like
So
psychopaths.
jolly good, sir.
We started funny as always, Luigi, and glad to have everyone back on board. We said, yeah, they had to ban it. Do you agree with this before we move on?
South Korea is banning North Korean songs. I mean, do I agree with it? Sure. I
Dude,
mean,
is it
it's
enough?
propaganda.
Is this fucking tune enough to convert the South Korean? If it's enough, you have bigger problems, I think.
It's a nice song.
It is a nice song. It
It's a
is a
nice
nice
song.
song.
We have to admit.
Should we move on?
Yeah, let's
And
move
I
on.
don't want to spend too much time on the fucking song, on the stupid South North Korean propaganda song. Let's move on to the
Uh,
serious stuff, Luigi, quickly. We have too
Serious
much. Too
stuff
much.
incoming.
The Iranian president, Luigi, has died in an accident, in a helicopter crash. Nobody has claimed otherwise yet, so we'll take it as an accident, Luigi, as his aircraft went down in mountains close to the Azerbaijan border. This came unexpectedly, people. This came very unexpectedly, I'm going to add. Go on,
So
Luigi.
out of the blue, so we have to add it was a pretty old helicopter, and it was flying in rough weather conditions. Now, naturally you're gonna get conspiracy theories, but this looks like a pure accident.
I think the Iranians, you're right, blame the Americans for the sanctions, which resulted in them not being able to update the helicopter fleet, right?
Which makes sense, right? But I mean, should the president be flying with one of the oldest helicopters? That's the piece that doesn't really fit. But yeah, I mean, if you're under sanctions for the better part of the last 2 decades, kind of makes sense that you're not going to have great helicopters.
Where does this leave us, Luigi? They're talking about that he was possibly a candidate to be the next Ayatollah, and now with him gone, it's cleared the way for Ayatollah's actual son to take charge.
We should explain for the viewers as well. This is the president that died, not the supreme leader of the country, who is very old and is
80
likely
something, yeah,
yeah,
80 something. So he's likely to
85.
see, yeah, likely to hit the sack. And I mean, when you're called the supreme leader, people, you are the top leader. I mean, you don't get that title. So, I mean, this guy is more important than the guy who just died. But there were, I think, rumors that the guy who just died was a possible successor to the supreme guy, which with him gone now leaves the door open for his son, for his actual son, to become the next supreme guy. But whatever, we'll see what happens, Luigi.
And there begins the conspiracy, George. Dun, dun,
Yes,
dun,
the
dun.
conspiracy, I mean, I'm sure that the great RFK Jr. would agree is probably the helicopter was vaccinated. It was
Wow. That came out of the blue.
So should we move on, Luigi?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate, but I don't think it really changes much.
Ebrahim Raisi dead, and then we've got Rishi Sunak, dead man walking, I think. It's the correct description.
Dead
We've got
politician walking. Yeah.
Yes, fresh off the presser, Luigi. Right now, just came out that he's very likely to call a surprise early election for July. We were thinking it was gonna be as late as humanly possible, which was the end of the year. But he's gonna call it on July. If you want my analysis, Luigi, it's basically, I mean, the wanker knows he's done. He's done for. He's like 1,000 minus 1 billion in favorability. He's gonna lose one of the biggest elections that have been lost, I think. By the Tories in the great UK. They don't often lose those elections. He's gonna lose. He knows he's gonna lose. He waits till the autumn. He's just gonna lose by more at this point. So fuck it. He's like, I'm done. He's done, Luigi.
I think the calculation was that the longer they waited, the better the chances of them making a comeback.
There's not gonna be a comeback, Luigi.
And therefore not losing so many seats in parliament. But I think the latest calculation is, it doesn't matter really, and the faster we get the election over with, the faster we're going to get a new election in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, because they know they're fucked. Because they know it. At this point, they know it. What is it? Mr. Centrist guy is going to win it by saying absolutely fuck all.
That is the real problem, that Keir Starmer doesn't stand for it. So the leader of the Labour Party doesn't stand for anything.
He stands for being the next leader of the UK. That's what he stands for, Luigi. And he will say nothing and everything to achieve that.
The guy has absolutely no policies. Everything he stood for, he has gone back on, and still he's 30 points ahead in opinion polls simply because he's not the Conservatives.
About 20, but I mean, guys, for Labour to the Tories, yeah, this is extreme. And I mean, the Tories have self-destructed. It isn't that Starmer has done anything. It's
been a slow process of self-destruction as well. So they've gutted every government program, every service.
But
you can think of
this took a process of 10
years.
Yeah,
for 15 years.
About 15 years, yeah. So I mean, gutting every public service, the NHS, the socialized healthcare for the Americans, gutting all of that. And then we had a process of fireworks, though, towards the end, Brexiting, Bojo having parties during lockdowns. Then you got the full Liz Truss. And I mean, what the fuck, people?
And they still voted for them. Like, they still voted for Boris Johnson.
Correct, but then they didn't. But then they had the parties, and then they had the full Liz Truss, and I think that decimated the Conservative, because there's not many parties that can survive the full Liz Truss. So I mean, after all this, I don't think there's any prospect whatsoever for Mr. Sunak. So he's gonna go for the election and fuck it.
No, yeah, he's gonna lose. It's gonna be a landslide. The Labour is probably going to get a very solid parliamentary majority, which means they can actually pass things and make a difference.
And they're going to proceed to pass back all, Luigi.
Exactly, because they haven't promised anything, because they don't even need to promise anything to win this election.
Which is genius. I mean, in a way. I mean, if you can get elected on nothing, I mean, 4 years ahead of him where he promised nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly the same way Biden got elected the first time, right?
Donald
Trump elect that guy.
he was gonna restore the soul of America. I remember
whatever the fuck that means. Whatever that means. But yes, we are in the era where we voted for you 3 times. You've destroyed the country, so we're just going to vote for anything else that is breathing.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be honest here. Let's get the real Luigi. I mean, immigration. They Brexited mainly because of immigration. I would even argue that a great chunk of the people who voted for Brexit voted for it knowing there would be an economic hit. So what has happened with immigration? Numbers are up every way to Sunday, dude. I mean, ever since they Brexit, immigration has not gone down in any fucking way. It has just been substituted, Luigi, between Europeans and non-Europeans. That's all. That is all that happened.
I would also argue that immigration numbers have gone up everywhere, especially in Europe, but in the US in particular. I mean, just saying that immigration numbers went up from 2016 doesn't mean anything by itself.
Just what I'm saying is there is no fucking way they can win another election because they have failed even on their number one pledge.
I mean, they're gonna lose. The real question is how much they're going to lose in terms of seats in parliament.
I genuinely think it's gonna be less than the landslide that people are predicting. Because I don't know, I think Starmer is so fucking useless that I cannot imagine that he wins by a shitload, you know what I mean?
I can't imagine that either. I mean, maybe if he actually sets forth some policies or
maybe
some
from
plans.
now until July, which is very soon, by the way.
As you said, why would you lay out any massive plans when you don't need to? You are ahead by 20 points. You don't really need to do anything. It's yours to lose at this point in the election.
So this is coming, people. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
We had a far-right gathering of European, of the best of the European Assembly. Le Pen, Orban, Meloni railed against socialists. Half of them don't even know what the fucking word means.
Milei. You forgot Milei. You forgot the most important.
Milei was there. I was going, 100% in Madrid.
For the audience as well, like the right-winger from France, the
Hungary's great Viktor Orban. And we had Argentina's Milei, as you mentioned, came together in Brazil, in Madrid, Spain. And
Prime Minister
Giorgia Meloni. And Luigi, we had a bit of a fallout from that meeting because Milei took to fucking stage to call Pedro's wife, the Spanish Prime Minister's wife, corrupt.
I mean, as you do, you go to a foreign country and you call, like you start attacking the Prime Minister. Why not?
You go into the capital of another country, Luigi, to shit on their elected government.
That's what you do, George.
It's ballsy. It's ballsy.
You do not understand how geopolitics works, where you have a gathering of evil, which is what we had in Madrid recently.
A wretched hive of scam and villainy, Luigi. That's what we have. But he had the nerve to do that, Luigi, which has resulted in Spain permanently recalling their ambassador from Argentina. And I mean, Luigi, he came after our boy, didn't he? Our favorite motherfucking Sanchez. He came after our boy, and we gotta go after him.
Yeah, so look, Milei, like, look at him. Like, he's a character out of a sort of comic. He's like, the country is destroyed. I'm gonna destroy it more. Hold my beer and see what happens. When you take a country, talking about Argentina now, that already has 40% 40% poverty rate, and then you do a big dose of austerity, you got the government. It usually doesn't end up well, and Milei just started doing that. So
in the short run, at least, I can guarantee you that inflation is going up in Argentina because he's done things like stop subsidizing the metro, which has fucking increased rail prices up the fucking wazoo. I think I read something like 350%. That's inflation, people. When prices go up, as we go fucking play inflation.
It's going to be the worst of all worlds for Argentina because Argentina is already like a basket case economically. It's a very weird country, high inflation, frequent defaults. It's just how the economy has functioned for the last century. But, I think that when Milei's term is done in a few years, Argentina is going to be an example of it can always get worse. Like if you take over the government and you start destroying the government, you can always make a bad situation worse. And I think we're seeing that play out in real time. And this asshole is busy going to Spain and promoting his new book. It's like fake Wolverine or something. Where's that look, George?
You're done, Luigi. I'm gonna go after him as well. Let's get serious. Firstly,
let me open this can of whoop ass.
Firstly, Thatcher was a cunt, imbecile. You know how I know Thatcher was a cunt? I know because to this day, they couldn't erect a fucking statue of her in the capital city of the country she was prime minister of without it getting fucking wrecked the very next night. That's how you know. Secondly, I think I know you think ejaculating once every 3 months, was it something like that, Luigi? Ejaculating every 3 months is optimal or something. Well, clearly you're wrong because you look like you're full of jizz. Also, you look inbred, dude. In fact, if someone asked me what a shit stain looks like, I'd show them your fucking picture. And thirdly, it seems clear that the inside matches the outside. So I just want to say, do better, Argentina. Next time, at least elect an actual fucking shit stain. It's gonna sting less than this fucking troglodyte.
Wow.
I'm done.
Are you done? Okay. Is everything out of your system?
It's out. I mean, fuck this guy. He came after our boy, our favorite Sanchez. No, even after him, the coward, he went after his wife. What a fucking low life. What a low life. But that's what you get when you admire and idolize a cunt. Let's move on.
No. Just to end this.
Sorry,
to end this on a more serious note.
I was very serious.
The reason we are shitting so much on Javier Milei is that he's glorifying basically the supply side economics that Thatcher and Reagan popularized in the 80s, which is basically what got us into the mess that we have today in most Western economies.
I mean, if you want to get serious, Luigi, we should be taking a lot more fucking credit because everybody started fucking singing our tune now, isn't it? I mean, now you get people, we have to protect our industrial capacity. What fucking happened to fucking outsourcing all of that shit to China and becoming a service economy? What happened to all that shit you were doing for 30 years?
Here's the short version
of
what
happened. I'm too hot,
like,
Luigi.
we had high inflation in the 1970s, and they came up with all of these wonderful strategies to bring inflation down, like deregulate the banking sector,
destroy all
ship
unions.
Your factories, ship your factories over to China. And then 40 years later,
which, by the way, led to a boom in fucking China by these geniuses, by these fucking geniuses of Milei's school of thought.
I ask most of the US middle class, and specifically the Rust Belt, that actually elected Donald Trump, how they are doing because of that. So you see, like these shit economic policies over time poison your politics and you end up with actual fascists. That's why it's so dangerous. That's why you're so angry.
And I mean, for everyone who's arguing if he's a fascist or not, well, he went to a fucking meeting of them. So I don't know. He seems to hang out with them.
A gathering of evil, George. That's what we're going with.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Let's move on
to the even more serious stuff, Luigi. This was unexpected. This is incredible news. The ICC prosecutor Karim Khan has actually announced that he's gonna seek arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Hamas officials who have wanted for war crimes. And he announced it, Luigi, by dropping a hot vid on YouTube.
My office charges Netanyahu and Gallant as co-perpetrators and as superiors in the commission of these alleged crimes. Israel, like all states, has the right to defend its population. It has every right to ensure the return of hostages that have been criminally and callously taken. Those rights, however, do not absolve Israel of its obligations to comply with international humanitarian law. Intentionally causing death, starvation, injury, and suffering to the civilian population, including so very many women and children, are criminal means to achieve military and political goals. That's what we allege. As I have repeatedly underlined, since last year in Egypt, in Israel, and in Palestine, and again this year, those who do not comply with the law should not complain later when my office takes action based upon solid evidence. That day has come.
So we got the announcement, unexpected announcement, and Khan has said, massive surprise, very hopeful surprise, has said that the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has said he's seeking arrest warrants for senior Hamas and Israeli officials for war crimes and crimes against humanity, including the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his defense minister. He said that his office had applied to the World Court's pre-trial chamber for arrest warrants for the military and political leaders on both sides for crimes committed during Hamas's 7th of October attack and the ensuing war in Gaza.
Yeah, let's clear up the fact that this is the prosecutor from the International Criminal Court, and an arrest warrant has not been issued yet for
No,
Netanyahu. Now, so the prosecutor has requested the arrest warrants. Now
exactly.
it's up to International Criminal Court judges
A
to
panel,
approve those warrants.
exactly. And it will be decided by a panel of 3 judges. At the moment, the chamber involved is made up of judges from Romania, Benin, and Mexico. It is not a foregone conclusion that they will approve all of Khan's requests, but legal scholars point out that the threshold of evidence for a warrant is just reasonable grounds to believe, rather than beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the standard for conviction at the trial if the trial proceeds. I mean, this guy is no fool, and obviously he understands that this needs to be tied. But I mean, we've discussed this, Luigi. Why did he choose only Gallant and Netanyahu? I mean, through the video, he explains that maybe more warrants will be happening if he gets enough evidence to convince him that the trial will proceed with the
He
evidence.
highlights in particular the fact that the Israeli state has used hunger, starvation as a weapon of war.
Yes,
which is,
starvation as a weapon of war. He said crimes against humanity, cutting off water supplies, electricity, all the crossings. He's talking about the collective punishment of the Palestinian people. He mentioned that this is not about Israel protecting itself. You can protect yourself, but all are equal under the law, and no act justifies another act that is a crime against humanity. Whatever they did on October 7 does not mean you can take out your vengeance on a whole population, including so many. Yeah.
Nothing ever justifies collective punishment.
Exactly.
So
he made that point very clear, Luigi.
I've got a
Exactly
serious
that.
point and a funny point. The serious point is this guy really has balls. So we covered a couple of weeks
Balls
ago.
of steel, Luigi.
Seriously. I mean, this guy is Superman in terms of
Radio Rocketman approves of this motherfucker, of this beautiful, bold motherfucker.
The reason we are saying that the prosecutor Khan has such great balls is that a couple of weeks ago,
full balls.
a couple of weeks ago, a committee of U.S. senators, of American senators, came out and threatened him. Not only him, they threatened his family, his children, with repercussions just simply because he was thinking about issuing these arrest warrants. And despite those threats from some of the most powerful people on earth, the guy still went ahead with it, which really, to me, shows that this man has principles and will not be intimidated by the shittiest of the Republican Party.
That's you, Ted Cruz. That's you, fucking moron. Fuck you too. Imagine fucking Ted fucking intimidating you. Fuck me.
If you go back to the video,
yes.
what I also wanted to add is look at the facial expressions that the two people behind him have, especially the woman on the left. Like, she has what I call a reverse smile. It's like that emoji that we very rarely use. Like, it's a smile, but it's upside down. That's her.
This beautiful bald man with his beautiful big balls assembled his entourage of steel to prosecute fucking justice, Luigi.
Just the look that woman has is like pure determination. I can bend steel with my thought.
Yeah. Luigi, this is the thought that tells you, yes, I know I will be called an anti-Semite, and I'm ready.
That's the look of a woman that's heard everything, has seen everything, does not care one iota what you're going to say about her.
These are serious fucking people. And I mean, honestly, we salute them, Luigi. I mean, Jesus. We thought Jack was getting there. Fuck me, Jack is not getting there. Okay, at least someone is getting there. Everybody's going on. The Americans in the UK. We'll cover what has been the response from this.
Before we do, here's the funniest part. So obviously, like, Israel has decried this. Netanyahu basically called them anti-Semites, all the traditional stuff. But if you go if you go to a link of an article I sent you earlier from the Israel Times, it's really, really funny. the fact that when
Yeah.
this guy was appointed to the International Criminal Court,
They
Israel
sang a
welcomed
different tune. They were
yeah, I
singing
mean,
another song, Luigi.
Israel welcomed his appointment, and they pointed, let me find it, they pointed to his work in uncovering war crimes. Let me tell you where.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his work on investigating war crimes by ISIS in northern Iraq, and they basically praised his work. And the person that said this in Israel was the person in parliament whose responsibility is to care about the international about the
The
international
happenings
criminal
of
court.
what's going on with the criminal code. Very interesting that they had supported him initially. Well, it seems that thankfully they chose wrongly because this motherfucker is coming for their ass. And what else have we got? Yeah, as you mentioned, Bibi basically called him an anti-Semite. Actually, he called him one of the great anti-Semites, not just an anti-Semite. And Biden said that it was outrageous. And I mean, what the fuck, Luigi? He called it outrageous. He said that there was equivocation between Hamas and Israel. There never was any equivocation. At no point it can say Hamas and Israel are the same, whatever the fuck. He said, whatever these warrants may apply.
What's happening is not genocide.
What's happening is not genocide.
I looked up the definition in a dictionary. A couple of points to make here. Even if the arrest warrants are issued, are approved by the judges, first of all, the United States is not a party to the International Criminal Court. They never signed that treaty, so the US is under no obligation to arrest Netanyahu. Most of Europe, though, is. So,
and most of the rest
means,
of the world, the countries not signatories that I know just off the top of my head, China, Russia, the US, Israel, all the good folks, people.
all of the countries that matter really are not signatories to the Rome Treaty. So
Luigi,
what does this?
I mean, look, genocide. Joe says it's not a genocide. What do you want? I mean, it's important. By the way, important to know that Khan never said that he's going after them for genocide. But whatever. He's sundowning again. Again.
He said war crimes, and I mean, at
never
this
said
point,
the word genocide. Yeah.
Yeah, he never said the word genocide.
What an imbecile, man. What an imbecile fucking Joe is. I mean, as you said, American politicians are vile, venal creatures, Bernie and a few others excluded, of course, and they will do anything they can to stop Khan and his prosecution of war crimes, of Israeli war crimes, and they will target his family, all of the judges' families, they will sanction them. I mean, in short, they will act like complete fucking thugs to stop them. And I mean, it's evident by now that the Biden administration and the Republican troglodytes, which seems are far more Israel first than anything else, are constitutionally incapable of ascribing any value to Palestinian lives. They are incapable of comprehending that innocent Palestinian lives are worth the same as innocent Israeli lives. Call it the AIPAC mental block, Luigi. Call it whatever you want. It is what it is. These people are vile. Yeah.
I call it my donors are paying me, so
that's what I lean on. That's what I lean on as well, Luigi. I mean, they've completely annihilated their global reputation, or whatever was left of it, in a mere 7 months. How long has it been? Are just about to embark on another anti-ICC campaign, even though a year ago they were cheerleading it against Putin, who is also not a signatory. They didn't give a shit back then, because just nuking your reputation is not enough. You also need to fucking bury it. That's what I think. That's what I fucking think.
Actually, the funniest part is that, as you mentioned, like a couple of years ago, when the International Criminal Court was trying Vladimir Putin, the US
they loved it, Luigi.
If you go back to 2014 and you look at some trials about African dictators, not only was the US saluting those, the US was actually paying bounty for anyone that actually arrested some African dictators. So
I mean, as you said, I mean, when it was going after, I mean, the ICC itself has been widely criticized up to, I think, yesterday, the day before yesterday, for focusing its attention too much on African countries who have little global clout. And Khan's application is in direct defiance of Washington. That much is clear.
What does all of this mean in the grand scale of things, George?
Well, I mean, while there is no imminent likelihood of prosecution, because I think we went through this, just a second. How long does this take? They will take on average 2 months to consider the evidence and determine if the proceedings can move forward. But that's not even for the actual trial.
That's for the arrest warrant. That's
That's
for the
for-
judges to decide whether they're going to issue arrest warrants.
Exactly. And the ICC has previously issued warrants, as we said, for Mr. Putin, Muammar Gaddafi of Libya, the Ugandan warlord, and the former president of Sudan. But no leader of a Western-style democracy has ever been issued a warrant. Which I think points out why we have called this man, this beautiful, bald man.
He's basically Superman.
He's basically Superman at this point. I agree, Luigi. He's going all in.
I mean, the fact that he would disregard his own safety and his family's safety to do this, knowing what kind of wrath you are going to get, not only from Israel, but from the world's only superpower. Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned it. I mean, the US Republican Party is all but certain to pursue sanctions. A dozen Republican senators wrote a letter, as you said, target Israel and we will target you. Literally, the great Al Capone, that's what he would say. And Blinken has already said explicitly that I think Lindsay asked him, Lindsay has been losing his stupid fucking mind over this and trying to fucking prosecute the ICC. Blinken has already indicated that he's willing to work with Congress on potential sanctions against them. So yeah, you're right. They're never going to be able to set foot in the United States at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, does this mean anything? It basically means that Benjamin Netanyahu, even if the arrest warrants are issued...
Oh, Luigi, you mean the other way now, because we were talking about potential sanctions from the United States against the ICC. Oh. You're talking about if the ICC issues the arrest warrant on Netanyahu. Which is likely.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Let's assume it will. What does that mean? That's what I'm trying to get to. And it doesn't mean much. So what it basically means is that Benjamin Netanyahu cannot travel to most European countries.
No, these are the countries, sorry. To how many are signatories to the ICC, Luigi, to their own statute? It's 120 something.
124 states.
124. So that those, and you've got to those 124 states, basically, is what Luigi is getting at.
Here's what I'm really getting to is, okay, so Benjamin Netanyahu is not going to go for holidays outside of Israel.
He'll be able to go to the United States.
Yeah, he's going to be able to go to the US. So ultimately what I'm getting to is this doesn't change anything. I mean, it helps with the optics of the situation and getting closer to, putting more pressure basically on Israel. Yeah. But as long as the US, as long as the US has Benjamin Netanyahu's back, and as long as we are directly targeting a very unpopular prime minister in Israel, someone that's probably not going to be there in 6 months or a year, it doesn't mean much, right? This is just virtue signaling at this point.
When you say that,
without trying to minimize it too much.
Yeah, 100%. What I'm trying to say is that, the prosecutor is doing whatever is in his power to do. What the United States does, I think has been evident up to this point, is not going to be good.
That's
what 100%.
Even though this is encouraging, as long as you have the backing of the only superpower, it doesn't change.
And as long as it remains the only superpower, 100%. It has, though, there's no doubt that even Israelis are getting aware that they're being treated more as a pariah state as this is going on, which probably, Luigi, has driven increasing divides within Netanyahu's cabinet. This is hard to be able to assume. With 100% certainty, but you do have Benny Gantz coming out, who interestingly was not named in the arrest warrants, and then he came out that if by the 8th of June Netanyahu doesn't set out a post-war plan for governance of Gaza, then his unity party will withdraw from the coalition of government, which is, I mean, I'm not going to say that obviously it's not the ICC prosecution that prompted this, but it's good to have more pressure, as much pressure applied to them as possible. And this is a big part. I mean, if we think back on this, Luigi, I mean, even the South African case that was filed with the ICJ will probably allow the ICC prosecutor to be more forward with this. So everything
Of
adds
course.
up. Everything adds
It's
up.
connected, but I mean, it doesn't change the situation on the ground. This
Of
is going to
course,
take
I mean,
months, years, maybe at best.
years, I think. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
So, yeah, encouraging, but no smoking gun. Let's put it that way, George.
And what do we have from this? We've got Ireland,
Huge.
Spain, and
This is
Norway
actually
coming
huge.
out to recognize the Palestinian state.
So Spain is extremely important, I would argue. The fact that the Spanish government is willing to recognize a Palestinian state that doesn't exist at this point. And of course, like you have to imagine, massive backlash from Israel. Israel recalled its ambassadors
Yes.
from all three countries. So once again, Pedro, our favorite Sanchez,
We got your
standing
back,
up for what's
Pedro.
right.
Standing up for what's right. You wanted them up, Luigi. As you can see, there are European nations that have already recognized Palestine, but the Western ones is far more rare. We had Sweden from the 2000s, and now we're going to get these three.
What I was reading as background to this is that Spain, behind the scenes, has been lobbying all of the European Union very hard to follow in its footsteps, and obviously nobody dares to cross the Americans. That's why nobody joined in.
On that note, we had France came out and was wholly supportive of the ICC investigation being carried out. Was wholly supportive of preserving the independence of the ICC and allowing it to carry on with its business. But they said that they are not yet ready to recognize the state of Palestine. They said that it's not a taboo for them, but they don't think now is the right moment. I would have phrased it exactly as they did. The Germans came out and said they're gonna abide they believe in whatever, they're gonna abide by the independence of the ICC, but they moaned about it. The worst was with the US, of course, acting like absolute fucking thugs.
Classic.
Classic US. Do you want to finish up quickly? There was just a report, you remember, with the 8 trucks getting attacked by the far-right settler. It was just a report that they're getting tipped off by Israeli soldiers and police, and others as well. But that's the degree.
Not surprising. I mean, that is low-level corruption. You could call it low-level. I don't know. Like, this is not high-level government orchestrated. This is like somebody calling his cousin or something. And
that's the allegation. Not his cousin, but extremist.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying. Yeah,
that's the allegations. Yeah, but it's still, I mean, pathetic. Complete lack of discipline. It's a fucking it's an anarchic environment. That's what it seems like. And humanitarian operations near collapse, Luigi.
Yeah, the Americans finally built that pier. It's not really functioning
not a good pier
as intended. Yeah, I mean, anyway, let's wrap up. Do we have anything else?
We have footage we mentioned in the beginning of the great UK Prime Minister announcing
the great Rishi.
The great Rishi, and
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's the look. Nothing says I'm ready to win an election like looking as much as looking like a soaked dog in the rain, George. That's the look of a winner right there.
Got it in the bag, Luigi. Got it in the
bag. Yeah, so the British Prime Minister. Or former, I should say, soon to be ex-Prime Minister.
Soon to be ex-Prime Minister. And should we call it a day, Luigi? On this beautiful note, the Tories have done enough.
It's been 14 years. Yeah. Your watch is over for now.
For now.
All right. Thank you, George. Thank you to everybody for making it until the end. Like, subscribe, all of that bullshit. See you next week.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Today, I wish to underline one message very clearly. It's my strong conviction that if we do not demonstrate our willingness to apply the law equally, if it is seen as being applied selectively, we will be creating the conditions for its complete collapse. And in doing so, we would be loosening the remaining bonds that hold us together, the stabilizing connections between all communities, all individuals, the safety net to which all victims look to in times of suffering. This is the true risk we face at this perilous moment. Now more than ever, we must collectively demonstrate that international humanitarian law, the foundational baseline for human conduct during conflict, applies to all individuals and applies equally across situations addressed by my office and by the court. This is how we will prove, tangibly, in real terms, for all victims, that the lives of all human beings, wherever they may be, have equal value.